Hi, Church. Pastor Jeff here with another Trinity Check In. You may be receiving this video in the usual Wednesday slot, but I'm actually recording it Sunday right after church. So we just had our special church conference. Everybody has just gone home, and I'm back in my office here. What you may not know is that I'm about to leave for a week. Every year, I do a week-long retreat and spend some time in silence. And, I wouldn't have timed it here, except it's the only time it worked, and I did not want to leave without sharing with everyone the results of the church conference, since many of you weren't able to stay around to hear the count. So, if you remember, what we talked about were 5 options for where we might go with the building project. It's not one of the official votes. What it is guidance to the committees as we continue on the path. And our district superintendent, David Livingston, led the meeting, as is the United Methodist way of doing things, and his idea, a brilliant one, was to do it with ranked choice voting because of how much more information we would get about where everybody stands. After talking through the options, we heard lots of questions. I am so grateful to everybody who asked. There were some dissenters in the crowd, and I'm very glad that their voice was heard as well. Most of the questions were overwhelmingly positive, and we did hear some ideas that I know I hadn't thought of before, and so was glad to. And I'm glad for every one of you that spoke up, and everyone that's emailed me or contacted me in other ways too. At the end, though, we put the 5 votes onto a ballot sheet and asked everybody to rank their preference 1 to 5. And the way ranked choice voting works is you get some information just by seeing what everybody's number 1 choice is. But then you take the ones that got the fewest votes and you see what their second choice was, and you start to get more information about the church's real preferences and where people are. So, without any further ado, I'm afraid I don't have a graphic made up here, but without any further ado, here is the information. So, the option A was to continue saving towards the original $12 million goal. It would be rather indefinite. 14 people had that as their first choice. Option B was the Education Wing North option, and that got 0 first choices. Now, that's interesting to me. It's surprising to have anything that gets 0. I will say our child care director spoke against that option, and I think that probably had some of the weight there. Option C got 23 votes. That was the Education Wing East option, so it got 23. For doing the sanctuary first at the smaller size, got 12 votes, so about half as many as the Education Wing East option. Doing the sanctuary at the larger, the originally planned size, but trying to build it at a lower cost per square foot, got 47 votes. So, quite a few. In fact, it got double the number of the second choice, which was the Education Wing East option. So, there was a clear majority, even just from the first choices. But when you take the smaller choices and distribute them, I'm going to skip a couple steps here. By the time you've done that and narrowed and gotten it down to just the 2 biggest winner, what we came out with was 29 for the Education Wing East option and 59 for the a larger sanctuary at a lower cost per square foot. So that's some pretty clear guidance. What it tells me is that there are lots of people in our church who care about all of these things. Our child care is a mission. Our Sunday school is too. However, so is our worship and our faith and having a dedicated sanctuary space. But the clear preference today of the congregation as a whole was to do the sanctuary, relying on a lower cost per square foot. Now, as we said in the video, as we've said in other places, it's not really that black and white a choice. Our committee will be working with the architects to try to find the Goldilocks zone, but right now, what we need to do is know which side we should lean on, and so it's good to have that guidance from all of you, from the congregation. I will say, of these five options, I mean, doing anything at all, whether we do sanctuary first or classrooms first, either way is good and will be God's work in the world. And I don't think there's a bad choice of either of them. However, hopefully this is the Holy Spirit that we're hearing in the congregation today. So it's going to take a while. We got lots of comments on the sheets. I suspect some of you will still be emailing comments, and I can't wait to receive them. And we're heading into the summer, but as we're able to get our committees together, we will, and we'll discuss these things. We'll sit back down with the architects and move it forward. Today, however, feels like a good positive step forward for the church, for the project, and I'm thankful for every one of you who came. And those of you who couldn't come, please keep sending the information, because I'm just as grateful for that. All right. One other thing I want to say, if you were in worship this morning, you heard about Miracle Sunday. It's a special offering that is being taken for global theological education. United Methodists are taking this offering around the world. We're hoping to endow a whole bunch of scholarships for theological education in Africa and the Philippines, and it is much needed. I believe it's, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think it's 70% of pastors in the United States have a theological education, but only 5% do in those other parts of the world. And we want to change that, in part because that's who we are as United Methodists. If you missed the offering this morning and would like to give, I'll put a link in the email. You can also go to our website, trinitylincoln.org, and we'll make sure that the Miracle Sunday option is there at least through the end of the week, and I hope you will consider it. In the meantime, I'm off to go check in at the monastery for a week. I'm off for a little, rest isn't quite the right word, but at least some quiet and some solitude and some time for growth. I hope you'll pray for me on my journey. This coming Sunday, Maddie Bogus is going to be bringing the sermon. She's the campus minister at Nebraska Wesleyan. It is always good to have Maddie here, and I look forward to seeing all of you shortly after that. See you soon, church.